Hello there, I hope you're having a good day. I am so thankful for this particular United States Supreme Court ruling. There were actually several that came down yesterday. Got 10 more to go. So basically the United States Supreme Court on Friday affirmed a law that allowed American citizens or their relatives that are impacted by terrorist attacks abroad that are attributed to the Palestinian Authority and Palestine Liberation Organization to sue them in the United States courts. The 9-0 decision by the court ruled that the 2019 Act prompting security and justice for victims of terrorism does not violate due process for the groups by requiring them to follow U.S. court rulings. So in 2022, New York-based U.S. District Court Judge Jesse Furman ruled that the act passed by Congress, which was bipartisan, not Republicans, bipartisan, took away the Palestinian group's rights under the Fifth Amendment, and the New York-based Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld that ruling. The Supreme Court disagreed by 9-0. There was not one out of a completely bipartisan group of 9 judges, both Democrats and Republicans, that disagreed with that U.S. District Court judge. Plaintiffs should be allowed to sue such groups. It is allowable for the federal government to craft a narrow jurisdictional provision that ensures, as part of a broader foreign policy agenda, that Americans injured or killed by acts of terror have an adequate forum in which to vindicate their right to Anti-Terrorism Act compensation. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote for the court. And in a second opinion, Justice Clarence Thomas, who was joined by Justice Neil Gorsuch, wrote further on the boundaries of the Fifth Amendment. And these are his statement. I am skeptical that the entities such as Palestine Liberation Organization, known as PLO, and the Palestinian Authority, PA, enjoy any constitutional rights at all, let alone qualify as persons for purposes of the Fifth Amendment. So the case centered around 2 court cases where Americans attempted to sue the foreign entities. In 2004, a group of U.S. citizens filed that lawsuit against the PLO and for injuries that was from a terrorist attack in Israel that attempted to seek damages under the Anti-Terrorism Act. At trial, the jury found the defendants liable for 6 terror attacks, and they awarded $218.5 million in damages, which automatically trebled to $655 million under the Anti-Terrorism Act. But the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit vacated that judgment in 2016, finding the U.S. courts lack personal jurisdiction over the PLO and PA. So the first case centered around the death of Israeli-American citizen Ari Fold, who was stabbed and 17-year-old West Bank, whose family paid a slave compensation by the PLO for the killing. So according to the Times of Israel, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas signed an order ending legislation that gave stipends to Palestinian security prisoners based on the length of their sentence this year. Then the second case involved 11 Americans representing those injured in a number of terrorist attacks in Israel between 2002 and 2004, winning more than $650 million in a 2015 trial. In 2022, when the New York courts sided against the plaintiffs, President Joe Biden's administration made efforts to appeal the decision, which the Trump administration then supported. So both Biden and Trump supported that Americans should be protected even abroad. And for that, I am thankful to both leaders. And of course, I am thankful to God. And I pray for peace. Peace to happen. And I hope that others will continue to pray for that.